All right, we're back. NHL playoffs. Again, Jacob, he's not the biggest hockey fan. You're not going to lie and say anything that you're not. But this has been a great playoffs all the way through. And as we come to the finals, the Canucks jumped out 2-0. Both games could have went to the Bruins. Bruins pounded in Game 3, 8-1. A guy bites a guy, doesn't get suspended. Then another guy hits a guy and gets suspended for 4 games. I don't understand how Gary Bettman and the NHL work, but I'm loving it. Tonight's Game 4. I'm going to watch it, and I'm still pulling for the original 6 Bruins to pull it off and beat the Canucks. It should be pretty solid. And I don't know why my thing's not pausing, but anyway. In light of the big comeback last week with the Mavericks, really, 15 points with 6 minutes to go is absolutely unbelievable. We're going to talk about top 5 collapses. We're just going to stay with basketball.
Well, I was just going to go all sports. I just came up with 5 that I can remember.
Go ahead.
Actually, I'll start with something that happened last year. Speaking of hockey, the Bruins against the Flyers held a 3-0 series lead. And they went and dropped 3 in a row, but then still had the lead in Game 7, 3-0. And ended up losing the game. And it was, they talked about it for like a week on ESPN. Big choke, and Flyers ended up going to the Stanley Cup, didn't they?
Last year, yes, they did.
But they didn't win. No. Then another one, it's actually, it was college basketball. And you remember Kansas and Memphis. Memphis held a 9-point lead with 2 minutes to go. And down the stretch, Derrick Rose and Chris Douglas-Roberts were 1 for 5 in free throws. Mario Chalmers hit a 3.
Huge 3.
Sent it to overtime, and Kansas sent to win by 7. And I remember watching the game, and you're like, wow, Memphis is going to win. And just
go ahead, I'm listening.
Missed free throw, missed free throw, missed free throw. Another one I thought about was something you probably remember. It was in 2000, the Lakers and Blazers Game 7.
Absolutely.
The Blazers held a 15-point lead with 10 minutes to go, and the Lakers went on a 15-0 run to tie the game, and eventually everyone sees the clip. Shaq dunks it off the alley-oop. Runs down the court. Lakers eventually go in the NBA Finals.
Great clip of him actually dunking it.
Another series collapse that I thought about was baseball. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. The Yankees had a 3-0 series lead on their arch rival, the Red Sox. Dropped 3 in a row. Dave Ortiz, I think, hit 2 walk-offs in that span. And in Game 7, they got pounded. I think it was 11-0. They lost.
Yeah, it was 6-0 first.
That was just, again, the Red Sox ended up winning the World Series that year. After, I don't know, since
1918
years. And then,
1918.
These are the ones that I've seen. There's bigger, comebacks. These are the only ones I remember seeing in football. 2002 NFC wild card. The Giants were beating the 49ers by 24 points in the second half. And the 49ers ended up scoring 17 points in the fourth quarter and won 39-38 off the botched field goal at the end. It's kind of controversial. But
well, I'm not going to go series collapse. I'm just going to go single game collapses, and I will tell you right now that number 1 on my list will always be, until I see something even close to being different, was the Buffalo Bills trailed 35-3 in the third quarter and came back and beat the Houston Oilers, now the Tennessee Titans, of course. That'll always be the number 1, just absolute collapse. And it was more of a collapse. It wasn't even a comeback, because there's a difference. You have a comeback and you have a collapse.
Yeah.
That was a collapse. And I will also say in the 94 playoffs, Western Conference playoffs, the Houston Rockets ended up winning, ironically, the championship that year. Blew a 24-point fourth quarter lead to the Phoenix Suns. 24 points.
Ugh.
And a big headline in the Houston newspaper the next day was Choke City, because they were Clutch City before that, and they were Choke City after. That was the 24-point, just absolutely just ridiculous. Just something you don't see. There was a regular season baseball game some years back. A lot of people think regular season games, it doesn't matter. Well, I don't care. If you're up 12-0 and you lose, the Seattle Mariners were beating the Cleveland Indians 12-0 in the 5th inning and ended up losing the game 14-13 in extra innings. And that is just absolutely ridiculous. Baseball is great because the clock never runs. So a game is literally never over until the final out. That's got to be up there. I'm gonna say the freaking game the other night. I mean, 15 at home. They were absolutely dominating the basketball game. I changed it.
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever, ever change a game.
They were just I changed it. They were dominating.
It was so ridiculous. I changed it,
and immediately after Wade hit that 3, the game changed, and I missed all of it.
And Vidal sent me a Facebook message, said, "What a game!" And I'm like, "Is he kidding me?" And I turned it, and I see them talking to Dirk, and that is about as a colossal. If the Mavericks win the series,
they'll talk about that game.
That's
forever.
The game. I don't care about any of the game. That's the game right there. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. And then I'll even stay with basketball, and that Blazers is a big one. But I'm going to go back to the 2008 finals where the Lakers were beating the Celtics by 24 points, absolutely demolishing them. And in LA,
and the Celtics
came back and just played strong D. And actually, that was the series change. I put them up 3-1. And the Lakers won Game 5 and the Celtics won Game 6 by like 39 points. But they crumbled so bad. You have to look at it's a difference between a comeback and a collapse. Now, the Celtics, in that sense, they kind of came back because they played tough defense. But just like the other night with the Heat, shooting jumpers when you were killing them going to the basket.
Final shots at the shot clock, they're wasting time.
Sitting there, LeBron holding the ball. He does it a lot. Now, that's another knock on him. Holding the ball, dribbling, taking a fadeaway 3. It's not a good shot. Wasn't for Michael Jordan, and it definitely isn't for LeBron James. So, I mean, there's so many collapses that I've seen. I can go back.
I just stuck with playoffs. There was one in the regular season, 2 years ago. The Kings were down with 35 points against the Bulls in the third quarter. They came back and won the game in Chicago.
I mean, I've seen some college basketball ones. I was telling you not too long about Kentucky being down 30 in the second half against LSU and coming back, back in the day when Pitino coached Kentucky. And, there's a lot, but those are the ones that stick out in my head. The A's, the 92 ALCS, Game 4, were up 5-1 going into the 9th inning, and Eckersley on the mound, and they blew it, and they lost in extra innings. So, I mean, there's several, but, I mean,
you can go on for days.
You talk about comebacks or collapses, there's nothing that compares to the 1992, it was 93, but 92 season of Houston Oilers.
Ironically, that quarterback did the same thing in college. Was down 31
against Miami.
And he came back and they won. I don't remember the final score. I think it was 33-31.
No, it was a little bit higher than that.
40-something, 40.
Frank Reich was the guy. I want to say it was 42 to like 38, but I don't know.
But he also
engineered
another comeback.
But yeah, so you can sit there and go on and on. But those are the big things. I mean, we're gonna talk a little bit about Shaq coming back, big fella retired, so we'll touch on that in a second. And there's so much we can talk about. We don't really have forever to talk about it, people. But again, Robin Jacob 71 at yahoo.com. Thank you for the support for all you people that are supporting us. I always comment, send emails, we talk about it, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back. We'll talk a little bit about Shaq.